So you probably don't think much about that big key at the bottom of your keyboard, do you? The spacebar. You hit it, you get a space. Simple. But what if I told you that simple key is just the tip of this massive typographic iceberg? We're about to pull back the curtain on its secret life, the power, the huge debates, and all the hidden tools behind the empty spaces in everything you read.
All right, let's just jump right into the deep end with the big one. You know the one I'm talking about, the great space debate. One space or two after a period. I mean, this has literally divided offices, right? But here's the thing. It's not just about what looks better. This whole fight is really about technology. And honestly, the right answer really just depends on when you learn to type. Back in the typewriter days, that double space was an absolute must. But now, in our digital world, it's not just pointless, it's actually seen as, well, kind of bad manners. So, why the big deal back then? Well, think about an old school typewriter. Every single key, whether it was a big W or a teeny tiny period, took up the exact same amount of space on the page. That's what we call a monospaced font. And because everything was so uniform, you needed that extra space just to see where one sentence ended and the next one began. Otherwise, it was all just a big block of text.
Which brings us to why things are so different now. See, a typographer named Matthew Butterick explains it perfectly. Our modern fonts are proportional. The period itself already has this built-in little cushion of white space around it. So when you add a second space, you're creating this big, ugly hole in your text. The computer's already doing the work for you. Okay, so we've established it. The double space is basically a fossil. But this whole conversation opens up something way bigger and, frankly, way more interesting. And that's the power of white space itself. It's time to stop thinking of it as just nothing. We need to see it for what it is. A really powerful design tool.
Yeah, in typography, white space isn't emptiness at all. It's an active ingredient. Think of it like the silent partner to the words. It's what guides your eye, what gives the text its rhythm, and what makes everything easy to read. It is content. You could even argue it's the most important part of the whole design. And this whole idea of spacing has a really cool history. I mean, for centuries, Latin text just all ran together with no spaces at all. Can you imagine trying to read that? It wasn't until around the 7th century that separating words became a thing. Then, fast forward to the printing press era, and a space was a literal chunk of metal you'd place between the letters. And now? Now we've got a whole digital toolkit of invisible spaces we can use.
All right, so let's get into that secret toolkit I mentioned, because what you have with your spacebar is kind of like a blunt instrument. Real typographers have a whole set of precision tools, different kinds of spaces for different jobs.
Just look at this. You've got the M space, which is traditionally the width of a capital M, great for indenting paragraphs. Then the N space, which is half of that. But then you get into the super precise stuff, like the thin space, and even the hair space, which is, well, it's basically just a sliver. It's for when you need the tiniest bit of breathing room. But wait, there's one more space we've got to talk about. And this one is a true unsung hero. It's a space that doesn't push things apart. It actually holds them together. It's your secret weapon against really ugly text.
I'm talking about the non-breaking space. Think of it like super glue. You put it between two words and you're telling the computer, hey, these two, they're a package deal. Do not, under any circumstances, split them up onto different lines. This is what you use to keep initials with a last name or a number with its measurement, like 50 mg, together.
Okay, I know this might sound super technical and nerdy, but what does it actually look like? How does it change what we read? Let's check out some simple before and afters. You'll see what a huge difference it makes. Okay, so look at this first example. See that long dash, the M dash? It's got regular old spaces on either side. And you can see these big, clunky gaps, right? It almost looks like a pothole in the middle of a sentence. It totally breaks the flow. But now, look at this. All we did was swap out those regular spaces for thin spaces. See how much better that is? The dash is tucked in there perfectly. The sentence just flows. It looks clean, professional. It just looks right.
Here's another one you see all the time, using a normal space between initials. It makes JRR look like three totally separate things. They feel like they're floating away from each other and away from the name Tolkien.
And now, the fix. Boom, just swap in those thin spaces and suddenly the initials all clump together like they're supposed to. They feel like a single unit.
It's such a small, tiny change, but man, the difference is huge. It just screams, I paid attention to the details.
So the big takeaway here isn't to go memorize a bunch of keyboard shortcuts, okay? The real point is to start seeing text differently. It's about training your eye.
Because at the end of the day, it's not about math. It's about finding a nice, convincing relationship between the black parts, the letters, and the white parts, the space. You're looking for balance, for a rhythm that makes it easy and comfortable to read. It's way more art than it is science. This famous typographer, Jost Hochschuli, said it best. He said that the space between words should be related to the space inside the letters. You know the little holes in an O or a P? Those are called counters. So if you have a font with big open letters, it probably needs a little more space between the words. It's all about making the whole thing look and feel consistent.
So here's your mission if you choose to accept it. Start paying attention to the space. Really look at it. Be on the lookout for those bad habits like the double spaces or the big gaps around dashes. And above all, just trust your eye. If something looks a little bit off, you're probably right.
And that's really the whole story, but I have to warn you about something. Now that you know the secret life of the spacebar, you're going to start seeing this stuff everywhere. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. I mean, just look at the text on your screen right now. Does it feel a little different to you?